Hey everybody, Matt here with the Most Adequate Collection, and today's video is going to be a little bit different than I had originally planned. The original plan was to follow up my last video of my Baseball Hall of Fame autograph collection with my Hockey Hall of Fame autograph collection. However, I looked at the day that I would be recording and releasing this video in line with something else in the sports world that's going to be going on today, and decided to kind of make a little pivot, but at the same time, it allows me to show off one of the centerpiece items of my collection. Now today's Friday, February 6th, and tonight is going to be or I guess it's going to be broadcast tonight, but it'll be the opening ceremonies of the 2026 Winter Olympics. Now, I don't watch everything with the Olympics, but I do watch a few things. I watch hockey, of course, as you know, being a hockey collector. I watch figure skating, which I kind of enjoy, but also I have two daughters who are figure skaters, so there's a certain amount of relatability to that. And I also watch a lot of curling, because curling's in my blood, I guess you could say. I've never done it myself, but I probably should have looked up the year before I started this. But uh, back in the 70s, in the World Curling Championship, there was a team from Grafton, North Dakota, that got to the finals of the World Championship, won the championship, but then in celebration, one of the teammates jumped up in the air to celebrate and landed on one of the rocks, moving it out of the way. The other team was allowed to place it where they wanted. They placed it right in the middle, and USA lost. Now, that team from Grafton, North Dakota contained two people who were my uncles. Two of my mom's brothers were on that team. So curling is always something that really appealed to me, and I've always really enjoyed, and have been enjoying watching it in the Olympics. And there will be a few other things here and there. A lot of what it is my wife will record a lot of things to watch later on and never watch them, and then the DVR gets filled up. So we'll see how it goes. By the way, hockey, figure skating, curling. But what I'm going to show is hockey related. And being an American hockey fan, of course, when you talk about American hockey, Team USA hockey, you talk about the 1980 Winter Olympic team. Won the gold medal, but they are most remembered not necessarily for the gold medal winning game, but rather the game that came before it. It was the USA versus Russia. Now, USA won the gold medal in the 1960 Winter Olympics. In 1964, Russia won it. 1968, Russia. 1972, Russia. 1976, Russia. It was essentially a team that was bred to win. The players on that team were given that purpose. They were trained for that purpose, and that was the ultimate goal. They were players who could have easily been NHL players. They certainly were playing at that caliber. The ages were of such, so they certainly had the experience, the ability, the training, and everything. And then USA, led by Coach Herb Brooks, put together a team that wasn't necessarily the best. Well, not necessarily. They weren't the best players. They were players in college that were at a higher skill level than some of the players that eventually got on the team. But Coach Brooks wanted the right players, as in players he could train and condition and have the work ethic that it took to match Team Russia at their level and play their game. And so he put together a group of players, mostly from Minnesota and Boston, a few from Michigan, a few from Wisconsin, but players either who played for him, or players who he knew their coaches really well and knew that he could take them to that level. But anyways, so showing off the centerpiece of my collection, as you can kind of see in the corner, is this one right here. It is a 16 by 20 photograph of Team USA in their celebration of what has been known as the Miracle on Ice, and it is signed by 13 of the 20 players. And it isn't a complete one, because all of these were autographs that I got in person. I met every single one of these players on here. And essentially it boils down to all 12 of the Minnesota guys, and we got one guy from Wisconsin. And this is a project that took me a total of 4 years to get to this point. Started in 2013. I guess you could say it's an ongoing thing, and that if I'm able to get more, I will get more. But I got all the as much of the local guys as we could get. I got. So I doubt that there's going to be a lot of Boston guys coming to Minnesota, and so unless I'm traveling to an event where some of those guys are going to be, this might be where it ends up staying. Now I could, for a certain amount of money, acquire a full 20-player signed photo, but I like this in that it's personal. It's my own story, and these are ones that I got over a period of time. So I put work and effort into it. It started in 2013 in Minneapolis, a memorabilia shop, which I think now is kind of converted more into just a straight up local card shop. But AME Sports was hosting what at the time they referred to as the first annual Minnesota Sports Holiday Show. They had a lot of different autograph guests. It was mostly an autograph event. It wasn't so much like a dealer card show in the traditional sense. It was an autograph and memorabilia show, and there were players from all sorts of different sports. We had from basketball, Minnesota Timberwolves. It was Anthony Bennett, who was the first overall draft pick a few years previous, and then I think Shabazz Muhammad. Baseball from the Minnesota Twins, we had Pat Neshek, who was an all-star at one point, and he's also a big collector himself. Football, you've got guys like there was Dave Osborne was one, Ricky Waters was one, former Vikings. Jim Marshall, who was part of the famed Purple People Eaters, he was there as well. And then legendary Vikings coach Bud Grant was there signing as well. I think Bud Grant was the only one who I didn't get signed at that time. I think just because when I looked at the price, not that he was super expensive, but it ended up being that I had to make some decisions and make some cuts of what I wanted to get. Now I would, of course, get Bud Grant later on because he was a pretty regular signer for quite a while. But then hockey, you had former North Star Lou Nanne, who I believe was an executive for Team USA during the 1980 Winter Olympics, and Neil Broughton, who was one of the players on that team from the University of Minnesota. He also would eventually play in the NHL for the North Stars and Devils, and he would become the first NHL player to win, or first hockey player, I guess you could say, to win an Olympic gold medal, a college hockey national championship, and a Stanley Cup. I know Ed Belfour would match that a few years later in I think it was 2000, either 2000 or 2001, whenever the Dallas Stars won the Cup. But Neil Broughton accomplished that in 1995 with the Devils. So he started this for me, and actually, in a way, it's kind of an exception, but I'm counting it anyways. He was there doing the signing. I got a couple pucks signed, a North Stars puck, and then I had, from when I was a kid, a 1995 Stanley Cup Champions puck. So I had two pucks, the North Stars one, and then the Devils puck from the championship. I got a signed photo, which I got right here from him on the North Stars, signed big and in blue. And the great thing with a lot of these hockey photos is because the ice is and the boards are white, a lot of great available blue ink space. But then he was the first one on the big photo, and actually, I had to do it a little differently. I didn't get this at first. At first, I was just getting the pucks and the 8x10. And then as time went on, I was kind of thinking of the options and they had the frame. That's where I got the frame, is at that show. And I think once I saw the frame, I'm thinking to myself, that would be a really cool display item. To have this the biggest hockey event of Team USA ever, have it signed by one of the players that was on the team, and that's an item that goes front and center of your collection. So I see the frame, I want to get the frame, and so I'm gonna get the. I know earlier I saw that they had the photos there, but by the time I got the frame and went back around, got another autograph ticket, all of those 16x20 photos were sold out, which was kind of a bummer. However, in the store that was at the mall where it was being held, AME Sports had a 16x20 photo already signed by Neil Broughton. And so I got that. So even though, yes, I didn't physically hand this photo to him for him to physically sign in front of me, I got it at a signing of him. So I'm still counting it. Next would be 3 years later, December 2016. Same place. AME Sports had a signing with Neil Broughton and another teammate of his, Buzz Schneider, from the team. So I was able to get both of them. I got another photo signed by Neil Broughton. This one right here. It's a nice collage photo. It has him on Team USA, has him holding the Stanley Cup, and then a couple shots of him on the North Stars. The only thing I would have changed about this is with him having those 3 championships, is it would have been nice to have a photo of him with the Golden Gophers, the University of Minnesota, on that photo. But still, it still looks pretty nice. So I like it. It still goes in my binder, so I enjoy that. And then I got Buzz Schneider on the photo, on the big photo, and I got a photo with the two of them as well. And so that was another addition to that. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll try and see what I can do here. And then, as luck would have it, a year, no, not even that much. It was because it was April 2017, so just a few months down the line. Fan HQ, which is another memorabilia store in Minneapolis that I frequent quite a lot. That's if you've seen my earlier video with the Barry Sanders helmet, they hosted the Barry Sanders signing. And they ended up hosting an event called the Minnesota Miracle. And what they did, which was quite an accomplishment, was get all 12 of the Minnesota players from that team together for one big autograph signing. And that was perfect. I allowed to put most of the rest of the ink on here from that. And all 12 of the guys were scheduled to be there. One of them, John Harrington, wasn't able to make it. I think there was some weather issues somewhere, and his flight ended up being canceled, which was kind of a bummer. Because one of the big features of that is you could buy a group photo with you and all 12 of the guys. I didn't end up getting that just because of the cost of the autographs. It would have been nice, but I'm more of an autograph collector than a photo collector. So the autographs are the priority to me. So I got all the guys, and there were a few of them that were quite remarkable to have there. The big one was Mark Pavlich, who he's one of the few to make it to the NHL from the team, but he's always been kind of a bit of a recluse. I know he battled some mental health issues for a while, and didn't make many, if any, public appearances at all. I think anyone who's gotten his autograph, it might have been from a private signing or a chance encounter, but he really didn't do much outside of the home. So it's quite the accomplishment to get him there. In fact, the person in front of me in line had a book signed by the team, and they had 19 players with their autograph on that book, including Bob Suter, who had been deceased by that point. But Mark Pavlich was the one they didn't have, so they finally were able to complete that. So I got him, I got everyone there, but I did decide also, I'm like, if this is such a rare encounter, I should get something else from him. So I did purchase an additional ticket for him and got him on an 8x10. And it's a great photo. Blue ink on the white background, looks amazing. Has him in his USA gear. And I figure if you have the opportunity to get something unique and special and rare, you should take advantage of that opportunity. So I was happy to get that. I also got one for my dad at that signing. And he's a sports fan, but not much of a collector. But Dave Christian was one of the Minnesota guys that was there. Now, Dave Christian was born and raised, I think, in Warroad, Minnesota. So he's a Minnesota guy, but he went to school at a college at the University of North Dakota. So of the 1980 team, he's the only player with North Dakota connections. Now, my dad, growing up in Fargo, of course, that was his guy from that team, being the only North Dakota guy. So I did get a photo signed for him, and got him a frame and got it to him, and he had it up in his office in the house. But of course, being that it's front of the house, windows open, I think over time, pretty much almost the entire blue ink of that faded off. So now it just looks like he has a photo of Dave Christian in his basement. So move to the basement. If it would have been there the whole time, I still look good. But maybe he'll do another autograph signing down the road, and I can get it re-signed and make it look proper. I also, being that I already had, the Dave Christian, I traded in my Buzz Schneider ticket because I didn't need it for the photo, and I don't really have any other need for a Buzz Schneider autograph. I traded that Buzz Schneider ticket in for that extra Dave Christian, and then the Neil Broughton, since obviously I've showed you plenty of autographs of his already. I didn't need one on the photo, but I upgraded his and decided to get him on a jersey. So I got a Team USA jersey of him signed on the number 9 with the 1980 gold inscription. And this one was hanging up in my home office, which has since now been taken down and turned into a bedroom for our 14-year-old. So that's kind of why my stuff is in the living room, is because I used to have it in my own proper man cave, but now I have no man cave, so I'm kind of taking over the living room. And we don't host a lot of people at the house, so it's not like we need it to look like super grown up and adult and all that stuff. So I'm kind of able to utilize that space for that reason. But in the process of it being kind of open in the common room somehow, and it was hanging up on the wall, so I don't know how these got there, but somehow we got some stains on the lettering of the name. And then I think on the bottom of the jersey too. But it's not the end of the world. It's not. It would be nice, but it's not. It's not like we're ruining a Gretzky or Lemieux jersey. And even still, I'm sure a stain remover can get some of that stuff out. But since those flaws are there, it makes me feel not quite so guilty about wearing it while I watch USA hockey games. So I am one of those people that if I'm watching one of my favorite teams, the Cubs in baseball, Pittsburgh Penguins in hockey, I do wear the jersey of the team while I'm watching the game. I don't know if anyone else does that, but that's totally me. And so I'll be wearing that when I watch USA hockey games. And yeah, it's kind of the dilemma. You kind of get these jerseys autographed, and I've got a few. But then if I'm not displaying it, might as well wear it. Might as well get some use out of it. And some of the ones I have, we're not dealing with legendary Hall of Fame players. They're players with enough of a notoriety that they did an autograph signing, and I paid money to get them to sign these items. But at the same time, if they're just being shoved in the closet, they get more use out of me wearing them while I'm watching a game. And also, it's not like I'm going to a public hockey game and risk getting beer and nachos and whatever else spilled on them. So I'll be wearing it when I watch Team USA, and I might even be wearing it when I watch the opening ceremonies with my wife tonight. And then lastly, I got the final, or the remaining 2 that I have, just a few months later. Now, since John Harrington couldn't make it to the Minnesota Miracle signing, Fan HQ brought him back a few months later. So the original scheduled signing was April. He came back in July. So July 2017, John Harrington returned. And then along with him, they brought in Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson's a Wisconsin guy, and he eventually would play in the NHL, I think, with the New Jersey Devils. But I needed both of those on the photo, or on the big photo. So I already had my ticket from the Minnesota Miracle signing, but then I just decided to get the combo pack of one of each of them and then just get another autograph. Now, at the time, I thought, for whatever reason, I thought that I had Mark Johnson on the photo, so I didn't get an extra ticket for him, because I thought I would just get, a photo of him, of John Harrington, and then Mark Johnson, because I'm trying to get as many cards from the 90-91 Upper Deck set signed. So I'll get a photo of John Harrington, and I'll get Mark Johnson to sign the card. But luckily, I was talking with a person in next to me in line, which is odd for me, because as much of an introvert as I am, I hate making small talk with people who I'm complete strangers with. But luckily I did, because I discovered that I did not have Mark Johnson on the photo yet. So I put his on the photo. John Harrington, I had another photo of his, or bought another photo that I had him sign. So there's another photo for my photo binder. And Mark Johnson's on the big photo, makes it a lucky 13. And yeah, so that's kind of the centerpiece of my collection. I absolutely love it. It's one of those kind of goes on the wall front and center. Now, yeah, it's not in the background here. It's more on the side of the living room, but it's in perfect visibility of anyone who's watching TV. Just have to tilt your head slightly up and to the left, and you'll see it proudly on display. But yeah, it's one of the absolute favorite items in my collection. An important part of hockey history, of Olympic history, of Team USA history. And I don't know that I'll ever get any other one signed. Because between the Michigan guys and the Boston guys, I don't really see any of them making an appearance here. But if the opportunity comes, then that's it. I mean, after all, I describe myself as an opportunistic collector. And most of the items, just because timing and location just happen to work out in my favor. But that's it for now. I've got some more stuff coming up next week. I'm going to try to get into the Hockey Hall of Fame autograph part of my collection. I started sending out some TTMs a few weeks ago, so I should be getting a few back pretty soon. And as those come in, I'll certainly display them too. And then just trying to come up with some other ideas of things to show off to you guys. But yeah, that's it for now. Till next time, see you later. Thank